Hey everyone, I hope you are well. In this quick video tutorial, I am going to go over my homework assignment for my head and hands class at California State University Fullerton. So with this assignment, you guys, what you're going to be doing today is you are going to take some tone paper. This is actually tan toned. It's probably reading gray, but it's tan toned. As well as you're going to need your Prismacolor erase pencil. So this is an old box, but you're going to need that. And if you have the newer box, which is this box, you can definitely use this as well. So you're going to use your kohl erase to get your drawing down, your linear structure down, and then you are going to use your lovely, yay, Prismacolor Premier pencil. This is a set at 24 that you're going to need. I also have my Prismacolor blending pencil. So you might see me pull this out to blend in some areas. That depends on if I get there with that. But that is really what I'm using. I also have out my Prismacolor art sticks, which are basically Wool's color pencils. They come in like a block, kind of compressed mode of it. I may use it and I may not use it, so I just have it here just in case I need it. So with this quick tutorial, you guys, try and make it quick because I really don't know how much of this I am going to get done, but I'm definitely going to do my best, if that makes sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to at least get, because these are things that we have to think about when we're doing this assignment, because this is our major assignment, one of our major assignment in this class. So what you're going to have to think about is not only your linear structure, which is here, but you also have to think about separating light part from dark part from all of your hands, as well as you want to think about composition, how you're going to set it up. I kind of went with a horizontal composition because it just kind of made just a little bit more sense to do. So I decided to do that. And I also had my hands just kind of looking like they're kind of like statues that are placed on top of some type of table ground plane. So you want to definitely think about your composition. You want to think about your linear structure, get that down as much as possible. And then we're going to think about light logic. So we're going to separate light part from dark part. And you guys are going to watch me do this because I feel like separating light part from dark part is so important, and students, for some reason, I don't know what, and I say this almost all the time in my videos, always skip this part. For what reason, I don't know. But in order to even distribute your values, or even distribute color or color temperature, I don't know, chroma, whatever, you kind of need to have an idea of what's in your light mask, what's in your shadow mask. You need those ideas, and that's very important. So that's the first thing you're going to see me do. I'm going to separate my light part from dark part. I have some of my shadow shapes mapped out, not all right now. I just do have my cast shadow in because I had to kind of do this from not so much memory, but I had to kind of just throw these in because I'm kind of making some of this up, because technically these were not in front of me. If that makes sense. My hand was, yes, but it wasn't in this composition. So that's what you want to just kind of think about. So that's why I had to kind of make up my lighting source just a bit. So I'm going to separate light part from dark part. From there, I'm going to distribute my values and my colors and my shadow mask, and then I'm going to distribute my colors and my light mask, and my values and my light mask. So just real quick, because I know this is going beyond the time that I need it to be, but that's kind of the idea, and at least how you want to go about doing it, and give yourself steps. Don't get too caught up in details, because I think that's what blows, or at least slows me down too, but it slows a lot of young artists a lot, because their brain just instantly going to, I want to make this look good the first try. And you got to build up on it. So you want to make sure you start with the bigger shapes first, then try to move into those smaller shapes and think about the big whole versus the details right away. So another thing that I definitely want to talk about is just making sure that you have a clear idea of what you're going to do first, second, and third, as well as having a good environment, as well as thinking about just that color theory as well, because when you have colored pencils, you don't have a lot, you have a very limited palette. So you got to do a lot of mixing to get to other colors that you definitely may need. So once again, you want to make sure in your composition, you guys, you have your skeleton, you have your muscle hand, as well as a flesh hand. So my flesh hand I actually did from Life. So you want to make sure you have your flesh hand, which is my actual hand that's there. So this is going to be one of our major projects. You guys are going to work on, I think, 18 by 24. I'm working a little bit smaller because this is a demo. But this is literally, I'm basically doing my own homework assignment if you think about it. But this gives you an idea of how you can compose, set up your homework assignment, which is our anatomy assignment for this week, which is, I think, is homework number 3 or 4, one of the two. All right, guys. So how this process is going to go, I'm going to be quiet because I've talked for almost 7 minutes and I think I've just been blabbling. But I'm going to get quiet and then I'm going to start the process, and I'm also going to do a time lapse of the process. I am definitely not going to get all of this done today or even in this demo, because color pencils take a lot of time. No matter if you have a small amount of space or a big amount of space, it's just going to take time. So I'm going to try and get this process at least started for you guys, and I think that's what's important, is getting it started. And then of course you can figure out how to finish it after that, but I just want to get as much as I can done, and then I'll talk about how you can go about finishing it and get the idea for that. Another thing I want to talk about is there's 2 different types of color pencil methods. There's textured lists. I personally like the textured list, which deals with a lot of layering, a lot of burnishing, a lot of blending. There's also textured. So you may be one of those color pencil artists that likes to see the grain of your paper. And if you are one of those color pencil artists, that's great. That means you're going to be using a lot of layers, but they're going to be kind of like transparent layers, probably like more of a glazing method type idea, where you're just layering thin layers on top of thin layers and allowing different color to show through, as well as you're allowing the paper grain to show through as well. And that's fine as well. So I do want to make sure I talk a little bit about that, because it really just depends on what type of style you want to use when it comes to this. Alright guys, so I've talked enough, almost 10 minutes on just blabbling, but I may get to a point where I will flatten out my board. Right now my board is at an angle just so I can see it better, but I'm going to go ahead and be quiet and get started. See you guys after the drawing. Hey everyone, so I'm going to quickly do a quick voiceover. So as of right now, I'm separating light part from dark part. It'll clear out very soon. The focus is not good. But as I'm separating light part from dark part, there we go. You can see that there's really not much shadow shapes because there's so much light that's hitting the hand. But I had to go through all those bones to separate them. The next hand, I am separating light part from dark part. I kept this very simple and just did the main form separation, where I'm going through all of the fingers and the main separation, light part and dark part. On the third one, it's a lot easier for me to see because I'm just fleshing out the hand. So it's just easier for me to see my separation of light part and dark part. Go through all of your hands. Separate your light part from dark part first. That is so important. For some reason, students skip over this all the time, and I don't understand it, because you need separation of light part and for dark part in order to, guess what, distribute your values. You have to do this first. So as you can see, I'm getting my pencils together. Now I'm going in and I'm going to work out all of the colors that are in my shadow mask. So not only am I dealing with those hues, but I'm also dealing with the values as well. So you also have to remember your light logic. Make sure that you can find your core shadow, reflect the light of every little bone that you see, and make sure you're working out your cast shadow as well. Your cast shadow is important. Remember to keep those cast shadows a little bit more transparent, so it's okay to have a little texture there. You don't want to have dark black holes. You don't want to do that. So also, as you can see, I'm working in my midtones, getting some of my lighter midtones in. I am still allowing some of that paper to show. So I am definitely thinking about that. Not completely covering that paper. I am a little bit more burnishing in the light mask area, a little bit more on the heavier lights. But other than that, I'm still trying to maintain my highlight, midtones, shadow edge, core shadow, reflected light, and pit or occlusion shadow, cast shadow. I'm still thinking about all those things, even with all these little itty bitty bones. They are so little. Guys, this is time consuming, so make sure you give yourself more than enough time, because guess what? It's going to take you forever. It took me forever to just do that little itty bitty part. Um, so building with color pencils is not something that's going to take you 1 hour to do. It's definitely not going to do that. So give yourself that time. So also, you guys, I don't know if you can see because it's moving quite fast, but if you see a little blue electric eraser, I am using that. That electric eraser is amazing with Prismacolor pencils, because if you are still in those lighter layers, like right now I'm getting down a light layer. If you are getting down light layers, you can erase out with that electric eraser. So right now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I blocked in all of my meteor colors for meat. The meat. Now I'm getting some darker areas of that muscle, that's the beautiful muscle that's in between our thumb and our index finger. Now I'm getting some of the ripples of the muscle from it being squeezed together. So I guess it's more compressed than anything. The crazy thing is, in person, it's a lot darker. You can definitely see those ripples, but it kind of faded out on camera. I finished one little meaty area, that way you guys can see that. Now I'm going in and just playing with those shadows just a bit, so you guys can see that as well. Once again, build on those shadows. I know those shadows look dark, but they're really not. Alright, you guys, so as you can see, I did not finish, but this gives you an idea of the process. And I think that's what most demos are really just about. It's just the process. I sought out to know that I wasn't going to finish this because I already had an idea. Because it takes time. As you can see, just a little bit that I have done took time. Although it will be time lapsed, but it gives you a little bit of idea. What I did was I decided to just finish, not even finish, because this is not even completed in my eye. In my eyes, this is just kind of like, alright, I got at least majority of my separation, light part and dark part. I worked in my midtones, I worked in my shadow mask, worked in my cast shadow. When I continue everything, I normally, really work out my cast shadow, but I try to keep it more textured. Because I'm just saying, okay, this is transparent. It's not really a black hole. So I like to leave it a little bit more texture. And as you guys can see, just by looking at it, I like to show texture as well as I like to burnish out some areas, but I like a more smoother feel, but a little push and pull of texture as well. So some of my shadow areas I will have more of a transparent, less burnishing, more texture showing, and in the light mask I'll have a little bit more burnishing, a little bit more finished look. I also allowed some of this paper to show through, so it's not fully burnished all the way through in those mid-tones. Another thing what I decided to do is, like I said, just making sure that some areas was about finished, not 100%, but gives you an idea where to go and how to move around. In this side, I wanted to just show the process of color pencils. So one of the things that I think is very important, and that you don't want to allow your brain to go into automatic pilot, is start with light layers. Blocking out areas with light layers of color definitely does help. To get to this product where I used a lot of burnishing, I have a lot of layers happening. This takes time to build. Always start with light layers, build with light layers. If you're going to burnish at the end. Let that be your last layer. Same thing here. I got some areas even in the pit of the shadow, or the occlusion shadow, whatever you want to call it. There's some kind of burnished area, really hard, heavy areas. So you guys, when you're burnishing, basically what that means is you're flattening the tooth of the paper. And when you flatten the tooth of the paper, let me get this out. When you flatten the tooth of the paper, you're basically, you're not allowing any more pigment to flow onto that paper. You're just kind of sealing it with that burnish. So that's why you kind of want that to be your last layer. Do not start with a burnished layer and then try and finesse that. This paper is not going to allow for that to happen. And also this tan paper, the tone tan paper is smooth as it is, so it really does not take a lot of layers. So you just want to make sure that you're blocking things out with light layers, then you're building those layers up. If you're going to burnish at the end. And yes, you can have textured areas if you feel more comfortable with textured areas, but I like to push and pull the two. Like, I don't know, just something about that it's just interesting to see kind of like this kind of painterly kind of burnished area, then see the texture. Also, you guys, I wanted to just leave a hand that's here. I wanted to leave a hand that is just separated light part from dark part. So remember, have that separation that's there before you get into some of these kind of detailed areas. So keep in mind, you want to have a light layer. You want to have some areas that are burnished, some areas we can show some texture. Start with your linear structure. Start with that separation of light part from dark part. These are all my shadow sides. I know what's in the light mask. Same thing with all of your hands, you guys. This takes time. Do not wait until the last day or the day of and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to try and whip this out in 2 hours. If I was you, I would start with the linear structure. Get that out the way between today and tomorrow, and then have the rest like 5 to 6 days to just render, because you guys are going to have to render your background, get a gradation, render the table ground, get a gradation, and render out these hands. And you're using an 18 by 24 sheet of paper, so it's going to take time. By all means, you guys, you can do this. We all can do this. So hopefully this helps at least get you to the started project. To start it, get an idea of how to start it, and then you can kind of get an idea of how to finish out and render out everything else. So hopefully this helps. I will see you guys in the next video, the next tutorial. And once again, this is just a quick idea of what to do for your project. For your anatomy hand project, your bones, your muscles, and your fleshed out hand. Once again, mine is not finished. You will finish yours. This is just to get you started and have the idea of what to do, and you can definitely do it. Alright, you guys, so have a nice day. I'll see you guys in the next demo. Bye, you guys.